Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Paul's Cinema Picks of the Week. I am your host, Brantford's film enthusiast, Paul Westbrook, and since this is our holiday special, we're going to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. So you say it too, sis?
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy
Religious Day, Happy whichever day makes you the happiest. Yes. But yes, Merry Christmas to everyone. And I hope you're enjoying your holidays, get your shopping done, get everything all finished before, you have to start getting ready for the new year. But in the meantime, yes, I was at my sister's here tonight. We had Chinese food for supper. And, so I've been eating up pretty good. And we're going to talk about some Christmas movies tonight. I got some Christmas movies here that I wanted to talk about because this is the lighter side of Christmas. Remember last week we talked about all the dark and violent side of Christmas. This is more of the lighter side. So, what movies constitute as being the lighter side? Well, it's very simple. Some of the movies that you're mostly familiar with, which is what we're going to probably talk about today. And to start with Frosty the Snowman. Got that there, sis?
Mm-hmm. Frosty
the Snowman, the one that's been on TV so many times. One stars Jackie Vernon as Frosty, Billy the Wolf as Professor Hinkle the Magician, and of course it's narrated by Jimmy Durante. And he tells the story, and then they sing the songs, and that's all Jimmy Durante. I didn't really bring Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the Rankin Boss one, even though that's very popular. But Frosty the Snowman, here, this show has been seen on CBS television. It had been shown since the late 60s. So I thought I'd bring the video here, which is basically the special. You get the special. It's not like DVDs where you get all the extras. In VHS, you just get the movie. But anyway, it tells about the snowman who comes to life and goes up north with his friend Karen. Karen's a little girl that befriends him. And I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but that's more or less what happens. And then Frosty's Adventure. And they made several other Frosty ones, including Frosty's Winter Wonderland and Christmas in July. And this is the one that started it all. The original Frosty the Snowman. And every kid that I know has ever seen this movie. They love it. And I definitely loved it. It's a tradition in my house. And one that we will continue to have for some time. But yeah. You got it. Here, Frosty the Snowman. Now, the second one here was Bing Crosby and Donald O'Connor and Rosemary Clooney and Vera Ellen. They play the sisters, and the Bing Crosby and Donald O'Connor play friends that were in the war, and originally before that they were song and dance men, but they happened to get into the war, and after the war they get back into the song and dance routines and stuff that they did. And of course the famous song White Christmas with Bing Crosby is always a classic because it was written by Irving Berlin. Although White Christmas was originally sung in the movie called Holiday Inn. I don't know if too many people have seen that one, but yes. Holiday Inn was the movie where Bing Crosby first sings the White Christmas song, and then he does it in this one here.
Was it like Grandma's movie?
Yeah, Grandma loved this one. This is one of Grandma's favorite films. She definitely I think she liked Danny Kaye too, so that was a reason for her to like that. And then they find out that the inn that they're using for the act, the showbiz act, is run by their old army general. And apparently he's run into some financial problems, so he needs the act of Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby, Rosemary Clooney, Vera Ellen. He needs those acts to get his place back out of financial ruin. But yeah, it's one of the great enduring classics of Christmas cinema. It's watched every year, and it's one you always want to see because Bing Crosby was a classic actor. The movie was just outstanding. I strongly recommend it. Watch this one. White Christmas. And here we go to 1966, a Dr. Seuss one called How the Grinch Stole Christmas. and it was narrated by Boris Karloff. It's about the Grinch. He hates Christmas, and he wants to destroy Christmas for everybody. So he goes down to the Who village and, well, without giving too much away, for anybody who might not have actually seen it, which would be, I don't know, probably most people have seen this one, but the Grinch, of course, is a very famous story. It was written as a book, and then later Boris Karloff, the same film actor, actually did some voiceovers in the late 60s, and as a result, I believe it made this movie a classic, and to this day people still watch it. But much like Frosty the Snowman, and of course it's not like White Christmas, because this is a cartoon, that's a live action one, but this is still a really good movie. It's one that, another one that we watch every year. I think you've probably seen it many times. They did a live action version with Jim Carrey, but this is by far the superior version here. So
I thought the one that people are more familiar with is the Jim Carrey live version.
Yeah,
the cartoon.
Nowadays everybody seems to know more about the Jim Carrey one.
Yeah.
But this is the one that actually started.
We grew up on.
Yeah, this is the one we grew up on, and we definitely loved it and thought it was a terrific film. And just taking a drink here. And then we come to, in my opinion, I know a lot of people like this movie, but I thought it was the worst one of the bunch, but it's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And of course, it's Clark Griswold, and for the first time, he doesn't actually go anywhere. Like, he doesn't travel, like in the vacation movies, he would take his family on a trip somewhere. In this one, he stays at home because Clark's looking for a Christmas bonus, and of course, his family's coming over for Christmas, including Cousin Eddie, played by Randy Quaid. And, and then everybody has to try and make do with Christmas. They have a little bit of issues and problems that they have to deal with, but of course, at the end, the Griswolds, everything all comes together, and time just for a great Christmas celebration. And I think there's an ending in this. The later part of the movie is very similar to It's a Wonderful Life, but you have to watch it to find out because, like I said, I don't give away spoilers on films online. You ever seen this one, Seth?
Yeah.
Christmas Vacation, yeah.
Wasn't a fun.
Not the best one, but it's fun for if you enjoyed the movie and you enjoyed the Vacation series. It's certainly one to add to your viewing pleasure or displeasure or whatever. Then we have Dudley Moore, John Lithgow, in Santa Claus, the movie, which is basically the story of Santa Claus, like how Santa Claus came to be. And starting as he's a toy maker, lives in a village, and they're in a snowstorm, and for some reason they end up north at the North Pole, and circumstances be as they may, he more or less becomes Santa Claus, and he has to go against an evil toy maker, played by John Lithgow, and of course he befriends a little boy and a little girl, and basically the other part of the story is about Patch the elf, because Patch feels underappreciated, because he's a Santa's assistant. Something happens and he's Santa's assistant, so he has to go to New York City, meets up with Lithgow's character as the toy maker, and tries to make something to make Santa notice him and appreciate him a lot more. That's the premise of the story there. It's from the makers of the Superman movies, so you can imagine the special effects that are in the movie. It's really good. It's for its time, because it was made in 1984, it's actually made very well. The effects are extraordinary, and what I like, no CGI. I can never stand CGI. And and the DVD one here, it's like a 20th anniversary. You get a commemorative booklet, you get a making of documentary and trailers and commentary. And if you want to know a little bit about Santa Claus, this is a movie to watch, because then you find out all about him. And finally, the last movie, the one I was talking about, the 1951 Alistair Sim as Scrooge in A Christmas Carol. It's probably the most watched film that's been on television, been in DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, whatnot. and even in radio. And of course, Alistair Sim being the consummate Scrooge. My Uncle Ward used to absolutely love this movie and said this was the best version of Ebenezer Scrooge that he'd ever seen. And it's presented in black and white, and it's also presented in color, although most of the purists prefer black and white. But as far as the colorized version of it goes, it's still good and still worth checking out. Of course, Christmas Eve, I usually play this every year, so I'll be playing it Christmas Eve. It'll be right on the screen, so everybody will be able to watch it, which will be mainly me, of course, unless somebody comes over. But anyway, yes, this was an enduring classic. And this is one that Patrick McNee, who was John Steed in the Avengers, he actually narrates the story, and he plays the part of very young Jacob Marley. Because Marley is played by Michael Hordern. He's the older one when he dies, and then he becomes the ghost, which is actually the most frightening scene in the movie. I remember seeing the film and actually hiding when you hear the chains of the ghost and stuff. A lot of people, because the English have this way of doing it with Victorian ghost stories. And a lot of people don't know it, but the antithesis of Scrooge is that the British used to tell ghost stories. It was very famous on Christmas Eve to sit around a fire, and you would actually tell some of the spookiest stories. And Christmas Carol came from that when Charles Dickens wrote the novel. It was because of the tradition of telling ghost stories. So Dickens got to write down his story, and it became one of the more famous tales about Ebenezer Scrooge the miser, who was visited by ghosts one Christmas Eve, and is reformed to actually accept the meaning of Christmas and becomes nicer for it. But yes, Alistair Sim's version is probably the superior one. Although I also like the version with Albert Finney, which was a musical, which was made in 1970. That's another really good presentation. So yeah, if you ever want to know a good movie for Christmas Eve, I recommend this one to anybody that's listening. Watch Alistair Sim's A Christmas Carol, because you won't regret it, and it has a valuable lesson as well. So, for now, that's it for the Christmas movies I wanted to talk to you about. Again, I want to wish everybody that's watched Cinema Picks this year a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Please leave some comments below the video here so that we can read them. And may all your Christmases be white and bright and merry. So Linda and I once again say together, Merry Christmas. Bye for now.